Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Fort de France, Martinique. We are in the Britten Norman Islander from Anguilla Air Services. As you can see, let's get inside the airplane. Whoopsie daisy, let's get inside the airplane here. Ooh, there's a little bit of a low view. And let's get started here. Let's get these ground services all removed here. Alright, let's go rotating beacon on. Mixtures and props full forward. Master and battery switches on. Avionics master switch on. Let's turn on the external power supply. I'll pull this plane in a little bit. Let's crack the throttles, toes on the brakes. Make sure there's nobody outside to kill or maim. Left magnetos. Let's go fuel pumps on. Let's go fuel valves open so as not to make fools of ourselves. Alright, nobody outside to kill or maim. Let's go starboard engine first. Good start. Oil pressure is looking good. Let's go the port engine. Good start. Manifold pressure looking good. Fuel pressure looking good. Or oil pressure looking good, rather. Alright, magnetos on both. Close the starter cover. Let's turn the fuel pumps off. Let's lean the mixtures for taxi. Let's hit this rather irrelevant button here. I only say irrelevant because it just doesn't do a whole lot. Let's go nav and strobe lights on. Taxi light on. Mixtures are leaned. Lean them just a little bit more. Let's set the altimeter, and let's see here. We are at Fort de France, and what are we doing today? Well, really all we're doing today is I want to give you guys a little bit of an update. Just pull up my taxi chart here. And there's all kinds of stuff going on. Just pulling up my taxi chart here, and what I'm doing today, let's release the brakes. Parking brake coming off. Gorgeous Air France livery right there. Let's go 122.8 is probably a good idea here. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, was the first pause I have had since I set up my new system. I have not had a single one yet. Fort de France traffic, Caribbean, Anguilla 264, taxiing to runway 10 via Lima Charlie for Fort de France. That was literally the first pause I've had. This is my Martinique airport. It's a really cool airport, I think. Not one truck on the taxiway, but two. That makes some sense. So I feel like I have been a poor steward of my YouTube channel in the last couple weeks, but there's a reason why. The main reason why. What is it? It's trucked right into each other, like they, you know. Oh my word! It's you gotta laugh at some point. Just coming down to Charlie here to get us. There's some terrain north of this runway. Or east of this runway actually, so I just want to make sure that we got plenty of. Whoa! Did you see that dude take the corner? So I just wanted to get a kind of a normal flight in and give you guys a little update of where I'm at, what I've been doing. Let's go flaps ready for takeoff. There's nothing to be done for the fuel pumps. Anyway, so to give you the real brief story here, somebody started a virtual Caribbean Airlines. I don't know if you guys are familiar with virtual airlines. I'm sure a lot of you are. They are exactly what they sound like. They are virtual airlines. Let's go mixtures and props full forward. Fuel pumps are on. Flaps are set for takeoff. I do not see any approaching traffic. Port de France traffic. Anguilla 264 taking off runway 10. Going to be a right downwind departure, southbound Martinique. So let's get ourselves out on the runway here. I'm just going to fly down to St. Lucia. Quick little hop. Give me a little time to kind of talk about this here. Mixtures and props full forward. Fuel pumps are on, flaps are set. Heading indicator checks with the runway number. Takeoff power coming in. Takeoff power is set. Engine instruments are in the green. Airspeed is aligned. 70 knots. Rotate. Gear is down and welded in this airplane. We need to worry about bringing the airplane up though. Bring the flaps up. Bring the props back a little bit. Bring the power back to 25. And let's see here. Like I was saying, I kind of like the right downwind departure here, just because it's going to give us a little bit of leeway here as we climb. So I joined a virtual airline, and what does that mean? Well, what it means is I spent the last 2+ weeks flying jets. And so I'll go back a little bit. So what happened was in late December, I got a message from my good friend Anguilla, telling me that somebody had reached out to him on VATSIM when he was flying around down the Caribbean one day, and told him that they had started a virtual Caribbean Airlines. And Caribbean Airlines, for those of you guys who aren't familiar with, it's an airline. It's Caribbean Airlines. It's like American Airlines. It's an airline. It's not a Caribbean Airlines. It's Caribbean Airlines. That's the name of the airline. And they started a Caribbean Airlines. And it exists in real life. They fly all over the place. They actually have a history going back to gosh, the 1930s. It was known as it was British West Indies Airways for a while, for many years. vBWA, and they flew all over the place. They flew literally all over the place. They flew at one point to they had flights to Frankfurt and London. At one time flew an A330. At one time they had a 747. Turbulence here. And in the early 2000s, mid 2010s, no, mid 2000s, about 2006, they went out of business. And the next day, a new airline came into existence. It was called Caribbean Airlines, and it shares the IATA code from the old British West Indies Airways, which is BWA. In the British West Indies Airways days, it stood for British West Indies Airways. Now it's Caribbean Airways, or airline, but it still has that BWA code. And back in the day, people used to refer to it as BWE. And anyway, in any event, he found out in December-ish, late December, that somebody had started this Caribbean Airlines, virtual Caribbean Airlines. And it took no time flat for both of us to sign up and start flying for them. Now for me, it was a little bit more complicated because you have to fly not necessarily current equipment. They have some legacy equipment that they fly. Planes that either BWIA used to fly, or equipment that Caribbean used to fly. And I mean, it's just not doing anything here because I feel like my... Okay. Alright. So basically what this boiled down to for me was I had to buy the PMDG 737, which was really the only airplane available for Microsoft Flight Simulator that Caribbean Airlines flies. And I never had any intention of buying the 737. Had no interest in it. To me, I kind of thought it was not quite as bad as an Airbus in terms of just, you know, sitting there pressing buttons and turning knobs. But I mean, that's really kind of the impression I had of the airplane. Is it's not really a pilot's airplane. It's a systems systems manager airplane, or it's pretty hands off, and it is. But I'll get into more of that some other time. It just wasn't an airplane that I was really particularly interested in flying. Had no intention of flying it. Had no intention of spending $70 on it. But I mean, you guys know me. Once somebody mentioned the word Caribbean, forget it. You know, I was done for. And so that's what I've been doing. I bought the 737-800 to be specific, and that's what I've been flying, and it's really been pretty cool. Any of you guys who are into flight sim and would be interested in joining Virtual Caribbean, just let me know, because you know, certainly looking for more pilots. But it's pretty cool. I mean, like 50 guys have signed up so far, which you wouldn't really necessarily think it would be that many, but it is so far. And so I've started doing that. And so I really haven't done any small plane, so to speak, flying lately in the last couple weeks. It's really been kind of a chore to learn the airplane. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to do with the 737, and but it's fun to fly. It's really fun to fly. I've had a good time doing it. I've had a good time learning it. And there's a whole different element, like when you are doing this virtual airline stuff, and because you've got a system that's tracking your flight. And it like tracks your landings, tracks when you do certain things, like altitude that you raise the flaps, altitude you raise the gear, blah blah blah. Overspeed warnings, anything you kind of mess up, it takes note of, but it rates your landings too. So. And so it's been an adventurous 2 weeks getting to learn the airplane. But I can tell you another thing. It's been a lot of fun, and so far kind of the most unique part of having done this is that so in 2022, I'm not sure exactly when, but at some point in 2022, Caribbean Airlines sold one of their Boeing 737-800s to a Chinese cargo outfit, and in real life. And what they did was they had to fly the thing over to China. And so one of the things that Virtual Caribbean has done is we've got this event going on where you can match that, you know, fly that route from Trinidad, which is the home base of Caribbean, to Jinan, China. And if that sounds kind of crazy, it is. But that's what I did. I flew this 737-800 from the Caribbean to China, kind of partly as a way of learning the airplane, and partly as probably just something fun to do. And so that involved going from, so it was Trinidad to Miami, Miami to San Bernardino, California, San Bernardino, California to Hawaii, Honolulu, Hawaii to Guam, which was right about 8 hours of flight time. And then Guam to Jinan, which is kind of just west of the North-South Korean border. So you flew over like Japan and then over South Korea up to the North Korean border and hung a left, pretty much. And it was really interesting. Never in my life did I think I would be flying a 737 to China in the simulator. It took about 28 hours of flight time all told. Let's see, 1015 is the altimeter. Never in my life did I think I would do that. Like I said, all told, it was about 28 hours of flight time. And I made it. Made my way over to China. And then after that, flown a couple routes for the airline. Once I got back from China, I flew from Piarco to Fort Lauderdale the other day, and I just flew Fort Lauderdale back to Piarco today. So it flies, you know, it flies like it's a virtual airline. It flies the actual routes that the airline flies, and within the actual equipment. And so that's why I kind of, you know, been doing this stuff lately. Kind of a note looking further down the line on this. One of the aircraft that they fly or flew, I'm not sure which, is the ATR72. And supposedly in some update 12, which is supposed to come out in March, there is a very famous ATR72 designer who is creating an ATR72 for Microsoft Flight Simulator for Asobo for free. It's going to be a free addition to the sim, and that's what the story is. That this is going to be, you know, the new update, the new local legend And I have absolutely every intention of learning to fly that airplane. And really looking forward to getting some time in that plane, flying around the Caribbean, shorter hops. And the other kind of wacky thing that myself and another like-minded individual have talked about, because like you can create your own virtual airline. So we thought, well, we love Anguilla Air Services, so why not create a virtual Anguilla Air Services? And then we fly, we fly around the islands in Islanders as Anguilla Air Services. So let me know what you guys think about that idea. I mean, if we could get like even 10 people that were interested in maybe doing that, then that would be that might be something that would be kind of fun to do, or interesting to do. So that's kind of just a totally out of left field idea. I can't believe it. I've had 2 stutters now. And this flight, I have not had a stutter since I set up this simulator in the computer. Not one. Not a single one. I'm really not too happy. So, let me know what you guys think. Let's check that over. I don't know. So starting to lose our way around here. It's another airport that I bought recently. I don't know if I've flown into it since I bought it or not. I honestly can't remember. Charles traffic, Anguilla 264 is about 10 miles to the northwest down runway 9er, Charles. See the rabbit ears right there already. Winds 0 at 10 knots, so hopefully we can handle that. Yeah, I mean, I think the idea of a virtual Anguilla Air Service is kind of cool. So I don't know. I'm so hooked on the idea of like they didn't have to ask me to join Caribbean Airlines. It was like, yep. You know, just because I think this area deserves so much more, you know, focus and attention because it's just so cool. It's just such a great place to fly. You know, and this will definitely, you know, having 50 guys on this on the roster so far shows there's interest, you know, and hopefully you know, that's gonna drive up traffic in this area, you know, on the sim, and that would just be great, you know. But I don't really know. I mean, I say I'm not really into jets, but I've really enjoyed flying them. And I'll be honest that the 737 makes the CRJ seem pretty quaint. To be perfectly honest, it just makes it seem like a very, very simple airplane to fly. You know, I mean, it's, you know, it is. It's a plane for a different mission. You know, I mean, it's a plane for a different mission. I'm gonna go props or mixtures for rather. Fuel pumps on. I want to make this a flaps 1 landing. Charles traffic, Anguilla 264, turning a 3-mile straight in final runway 09er, Charles. So I don't know. I mean, you know, and then I get in this thing. One thing that irks me, I guess, about the flying jets, it takes so long to get in the airplane and get flying. You know, whereas with this, you know, your engines are turning and your wheels are rolling within, you know, get some power back here within, you know, 5 minutes. You know, which to me is just kind of cool. Alright, we have a bunch of flaps here. Okay, starting to get a feel for that wind here. Definitely feels like a left crosswind. And that's the other thing, is like you don't really get this kind of tactile, props full forward, you don't really get this kind of tactile feeling of flight in a bigger airplane like that. I don't know, I suppose they're just different things, and I don't need to really compare the two, but mixtures, props full forward, fuel pumps are on, flaps are set. Charles traffic, Anguilla 264, mile final runway 09er, Charles. bit of a decent one too, actually. It feels like it's starting to float now. Charles traffic, Anguilla 264, short final one, the 09er, Charles. That was the nicest Islander landing I have ever had. By a country mile. It's almost like walking, flying this airplane after flying jets for so long. Like, I have some extensive career in jets, like, you know, like for the last 2 weeks, you know, mixtures here. So, we'll check out a new airport. I'm a cheapskate, I get these airports, well, I suppose I'm not a cheapskate, I've spent a lot of money on these stupid airports, but I get them anytime they go on sale. I go wacky. Oh, I guess maybe I'm not supposed to get off here. Charles traffic, Caribbean, Anguilla 264, clear the runway. Charles. Landing light off. Turn me fuel pumps off. Oh, there's a helipad, that's why. Oopsie. Okay, so no, that's not why, but what we're gonna do. Alright, well. Let's go back out on the runway. Charles traffic, Caribbean, Anguilla 264, taxiing runway 9er from Bravo to Alpha, George F. Charles. Yeah, so that was the reason there's a big yellow X right there. There generally is when there's a big X on an airport somewhere. They're generally trying to tell you something. Only the less astute of us think, probably not that important. So we turn our landing lights back on. And we mosey on down the runway. Let's try this one. Charles traffic. Anguilla 264 is clear of the runway. George F. Charles. And of course that's not true because you're not clear of the runway. I've said it 1,000 times. You're not clear of the runway until all of your aircraft, including the tail, every little bit of your aircraft is over this double yellow line. You are not clear of the runway. So this is the new George F. Charles Airport that I bought a couple weeks ago and haven't flown to yet. So let's take a little look here. I don't know. Clearly don't know where I'm going. And this airport has clearly been alright, so what airport do you suppose I'm at, guys? I'm just gonna park myself right here. And eventually I'll figure out where airport I'm at. Because I'm clearly not where I thought I was. Alright. So maybe somebody can explain to me. Let's go mixtures idle cutoff, throttles are idle. Lights coming off. Avionics master coming off. Magnetos coming off. Master and battery switches off. Parking brake is on. Alright, that's a good shutdown. So maybe somebody can tell me where on earth I am, because I clearly think I'm someplace that I am not. And there we go. Oh, George F. Charles is the other airport on St. Lucia. So there we go. So I'm a big fool. But a nice guy. So let us take a quick look around this airport, right? May as well. Let's go outside. Let's do some showcase camera. And here we are. This is Hewanorra Airport. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. In St. Lucia. St. Lucia is one of those places I really would like to go. My girlfriend wants to go to St. Lucia. And we have a good friend from St. Lucia. Who, as I'm just thinking, at one point anyway, flew for Anguilla Air Services. And he now flies for another company. I never quite understand why they shut down runways at airports. I think probably a lot of it's cost. But in any event, it's a pretty cool little airport. And very colorful. Whoopsie, I mean to do that. So here's a little quick look around Hewanorra. This, by the way, is an ATR 42. Yeah, ATR 42. And so this is, oopsie. This is what is coming. This is a static plane. But this is what is coming. The ATR72 is coming to Microsoft Flight Simulator in March, and I am going to be all over that. I don't know what I'm doing right there. I don't know what I'm doing right there. I generally don't know what I'm doing. But okay, there's nothing in there. But I will definitely be rocking the ATR 72 once it comes to that. So anyway, here's another airport. That's my story from what I've been doing for the last couple months. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of a virtual Anguilla Air Services. Don't even need to know that you'd be like, hey, I'd like to join, but like if you'd be interested in seeing that done, seeing it happen, and seeing us fly that, fly those routes, let me know. And I hope everybody had a great Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever holiday you celebrated, or no holiday that you celebrated. I wish you guys all a happy 2023, and we'll see you next time.